Is JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Volume 1 the best manga? Let's find out. Yo, what's up, sleepers? It's your boy, Eddbedhead here. Dio is up to his old tricks again, and I need your help in order to take him down. The only way to do that is by watching this video. Today, I will be reviewing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Volume 1. Now, I'm going to divide this review into two segments. The first part will be a spoiler-free review, while the second will contain a lot of spoilers in it. Now, let's go find out if the Joestar series lives up to the hype. So, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Volume 1 Part 1 was released on August 10th of 1987. Wow, that's old. It was written and illustrated by Hirohiko Araki. So let's take a look at the plot summary. Young Jonathan Joestar's life is forever changed when he meets his new adopted brother, Dio. For some reason, Dio has a smoldering grudge against him and derives pleasure from seeing him suffer. But every man has its limits, as Dio soon finds out. This is the beginning of a long and hateful relationship. So my overall thoughts on Part 1, Volume 1, where it often jumps from being like this slow-paced story to having like a bunch of things happen at once, and it kind of becomes like very cartoonish very quickly. And I dare say it's almost too slow at times, and that makes it a little bit hard to stick with, especially for newer fans. It does have an original art style though, and I kind of have grown to appreciate it. And I do like the symbolic contrast between JoJo, pure good, and Dio, pure evil. It's very simple that way. And this is very much an 80s story so far. Take that however you want. Overall, it's an interesting story and art style, but I'm not sure it's essential to the overall story of the JoJo series. I will still be reading the next volumes to come, and I'll put a review out for those as well. So my overall rating for Part 1, Volume 1 is a 3.5 out of 5. It just seemed like things ended just as they were getting interesting. Now, let's compare these to some online ratings. Barnes & Noble's reviewers gave it a 5 out of 5. Meanwhile, Books A Million reviewers gave it a 4.9 out of 5. Ooh, we got a little bit of a difference there. So the average rating for this book is a 4.95. Thank you, math. Very cool. Now, before we jump into the spoiler-filled review, I'd like to take a moment and ask you to like this video if you have enjoyed it so far. Comment down below on if you like the JoJo Bizarre Adventure series, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It'll really help me out. Now, let's get on to the spoiler-filled discussion. Let's take an in-depth review of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Volume 1. I would really like to start by discussing certain scenes and moments in the manga, specifically the boxing match between Dio and JoJo. I think both characters are really strong, and this is like the most realistic section in the whole manga, because this is when they look like the most realistic. They're really fit guys with normal sized heads and normal sized bodies, and I just think they're better looking here overall. And the match was very intense. JoJo's pride got cut down by Dio, who ended up being a much better fighter than he expected. But it does make me wonder where Jonathan even learned how to box. He was out there throwing some crazy good punches, but Dio just had better footwork. And I honestly think Dio should have gotten disqualified for jabbing his thumb into JoJo's eye. Like, come on, did nobody see that? What's going on here? And it's one of the few times in the manga where JoJo actually fights back against Dio, and it's good to see him actually trying to, even though he did end up losing. The next part I would like to discuss is the part where Jonathan is confronted by thugs in London. We finally get to see Jonathan show off his skills to somebody else besides Dio. So we get to see what he is compared to a normal person. Jonathan beats them so badly that the thugs actually end up changing sides. Mainly his opponent, Speedwagon, who had this crazy, like, I don't know, razor hat that he threw and it cut through flesh. It was the only character with a gimmick in the manga so far, so I thought that was really cool. But, I mean, come on. JoJo got cut to, like, basically the bone in his arm, and he didn't have to go to the hospital for that? Also, JoJo let him into his home. Like, the man who just tried to kill you you're welcoming into your home. I don't know if that's really kind or really naive. So my thoughts while reading part 1, volume 1 were, why are their bodies so bulky, yet their heads are so tiny? So this is a quick edit. I read the author's note, and he actually wrote that back then in the time, which was the 80s, actors like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone were really big. Like, they were constantly on the big screen. And so he wanted to make a character similar to that, like big, bulky, and unstoppable, just like those guys. I was also wondering, what were JoJo and Dio's moms actually like? Would Dio have walked down a different path if his mother was still alive? And why didn't Dio's dad send Dio to the Joestar sooner? So now it's time for my favorite moment in volume 1 part. The scene where Dio is in London and finally finds out the true use of the mask. It's a really interesting twist, and I didn't expect a supernatural element in it because the mask is able to turn the wearer into a vampire, and I think that's a really overpowered move. We get to see Dio panicked as he thinks his life is coming to an end. I wonder what would have happened if he tested it on Jonathan like he planned to originally. And I also wonder how Dio will use it in the next volume. Dun dun dun. So now, time for some moments that I think that should be changed or cut. To be honest, the story was kind of boring. Don't hate me, JoJo fans. So this is also a quick edit. I read the author's note, and he said that the story was kind of boring, but this is because this is the first Joestar, and he wanted him to be like this perfect symbol of justice who could do no wrong. And in writing him, it kind of made the character a little boring because he was a true gentleman, one that the rest of the Joestars would look up to. Another note is they were also really mean to dogs. And that's not cool. That's all I'm going to say. So my final rating for this book is a 3.5 out of 5. Now it's time to read some reviews. This Barnes & Noble reviewer gave it a 5 out of 5. They said, I watched all the current episodes in the anime and it's awesome. If you love the anime, reading the manga is definitely worth it. As an added bonus, without giving away spoilers, the manga contains additional bits and pieces of information about the story. I can definitely see myself coming back to read this book again and again. And my opinion is, I'm not sure I would read it that many times. This Books A Million reviewer also gave it a 5 out of 5. The Viz hardcover edition of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are excellent quality. The paper is thick and it really helped the art panels to pop off the page. The colored pages are vibrant and really add a unique touch to the books. I'd recommend any fan of JoJo's to add these to their collection. I would definitely get the hardcover books. It's worth the extra money. So in conclusion, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 1 Volume 1 is a good manga, but I wouldn't say it's the best manga. Maybe the rest of the series is better. At least that's what all the JoJo fans say, so I'll keep reading and reviewing, see what happens. Anyway, if you've enjoyed this video, make sure to like this video, and if you're a fan of JoJo, make sure to comment down below, and subscribe if you're new to the channel. As always, stay woke, sleepers. Peace!